All right, we got why 97% of live service games won't exist in 3 years.
Live service gaming has been the industry's cash cow for over 10 years now, with games like Apex and Fortnite making a solid community of players that are hooked on the fact that their favorite games get constant.
Yeah, you damn right they hooked. You are 100% right. The core player base of those games are hooked.
Updates in a storyline that doesn't seem to have an end. But the bright future we were hoping for with gaming as a service and what we actually ended up with are just two completely different things, with the trend being that game studios started maximizing player retention instead of focusing on actual player enjoyment, and that
Player retention versus player enjoyment. So retention to me kind of implies player retention versus player enjoyment. It's like when you say player retention, that means just giving the player a bunch of little knickknack monthly, weekly, daily challenges to do, things like a battle pass to feel obligated to like max out because you bought it, have a rotating store, and trying to like feed on this whole fear of missing out or FOMO aspect of like the games. But then when you talk about player enjoyment, yes, like the core game of a lot of live service games has to be good in the first place, but I'm gonna assume you're talking most likely about like shooters and in live service. I mean, there's a couple other games that are like outside this, like League of Legends, Rocket League, so on and so forth, that kind of fall in these like MOBAs or whatever. But for the most part, when someone says like live service game, I think like most live service games tend to just be shooting games. What devs I think fail to do is they hone in on the competitive aspect to some degree to try to appeal to those people, which is fine, but there's not enough like alternative casual just fun modes outside of like if like you're like talking about like battle royale. There's like I don't know really anything about Fortnite, so maybe Fortnite could have a bunch of little wonky modes that are just like whatever fun, or like limited time modes that just work. There's not enough like little just side modes that are just fun whatever shit to do. Like for if I say Halo, immediately I would think a griff ball or something along the lines of like some mode that somebody built in a forge and they just made some wonky like ATV like track that like, and you just like, and you turn Halo into like a racing game or something like that. Or I think Rocket League does this pretty well. You in Rocket League you have your standard like ones, twos, and threes, and then you got the rank version. But you have like little fun modes like hoops, which is just basketball, and then you have that one mode where you get collect all the little power ups, and you can like mess with people and shit like that, which is fun. Like a lot of shooting games need to implement like alternative little fun wonky modes and take advantage of their core physics system that they have going for them and just utilize it in a different way.
Led to one of the biggest cases in player burnout we've ever seen. And with the live service industry shifting more towards games that just demand constant attention.
Okay, the finals players frustrated with impossible to finish battle pass. Oh Jesus, I didn't know this was a thing. I thought the finals was doing like okay. I didn't know they had a dog shit battle pass, but then again, who cares about the fucking battle pass in a live service game? Like, come on.
Tension and making that the norm, well, competition between the studios has honestly never been more chaotic, and as a result you have a bunch of great games that pop off left and right that just end up dying almost immediately. And because of all of this, the live service gaming industry as a result is on the verge of imploding in on itself.
Oh really? Dang, that's
Worst part
crazy.
is that it's going to take some of your favorite games down alongside with it. Now,
Yep.
the idea of an always online game isn't really something new because MMORPG games like RuneScape and World
Oh,
of Warcraft have been doing this for over 20 years at this
I mean, if you want to categorize and throw MMOs inside of live service, I mean, yeah,
point. But with the rise of online multiplayer gaming experiences and the people's need to want to interact with other players, well, the demand for gaming as a service has honestly just skyrocketed in the last few years to the point where now you have first-person shooter live service games, you have survival games that are live service, and heck, even some single-player experiences have turned into live service. So you need to have that constant internet connection to be able to even play the game in the first place.
what a joke this was. What is it, Suicide Squad? What a clown show this game was. I'm happy this game failed.
And even though the initial promise of gaming as a service sounds like the dream scenario because your favorite game gets updated constantly, there's an endless supply of content, and there's always something new to do. Well, what actually ended up happening is a lot more sinister than that because game studios realized just how much money they could make by keeping you hooked on their product.
Yeah.
And instead of looking at how to make a game into an artistic experience, they started targeting your dopamine sensors just like a drug dealer to see how they can pressure you into buying their limited time items at the
Yeah. So when that's the case and game developers see those statistics, immediately they are incentivized to design the game in such a way that it like drip feeds you content instead of them just delivering a game and then having good gameplay, having good modes and so on and so forth. I mean, in the case of FPSs, a lot of the times it's like your anti-cheat sucks ass, or your skill-based matchmaking sucks ass, or your matchmaking system sucks ass.
item shop, or just buying random loot boxes and stuff just to make you feel like you're missing out and that you have to spend money at that moment. It turns out that having a couple of battle passes and microtransactions into your free-to-play game is actually an extremely lucrative business. And it's gotten to the point that it's been reported.
Yeah, and because if it wasn't an extremely lucrative what is it, like money model or whatever, financial model, they wouldn't do it. But since it is lucrative, that's why they do it. If you want to change it, we'll stop buying battle passes. Stop buying shit on the store.
That 95% of all game studios are either working on or aim to release a live service game in the near future. So literally everybody's trying to make it big in this industry. But unfortunately, because of the way the live service model works, and we'll talk about just how awful that is in a moment, and just how cutthroat the competition is, what we actually ended up with is just a small...
Buy my live service game. There's nothing inherently wrong. There's nothing like intrinsically wrong with live service. It's just how it's being implemented currently across a lot of games is just bad.
Selection of games that are just wildly successful, sitting on top of a mountain of dead games that could have been really great titles if they hadn't been made into live service games. So how has this shift into turning almost every game into a live service game affected the gaming industry as a whole, and just how bad are things gonna get on this downtrend before we actually start seeing a sort of like renaissance in gaming? Well, first off, we have to talk about market saturation and how there's this non-stop chase from like game studios where everybody seems to be throwing out new updates every week.
Damn, really? A Fortnite? Getting a lot of fucking updates. Wait, so update cycles for some of the most popular games since January 2018. I mean, damn, Fortnite is out here killing it with the updates. I had no idea. Oh, look at this little fucking gap right here. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 little updates in this like little span of like, was this like a good time or like a bad time in Fortnite? Because there weren't a lot of updates. I have no idea. It's hard to say. It's like, you know what it's like? And this is a stupid analogy. It's like when you see a guy that's like kind of thicker and you don't know if he's like working out or not, you don't really know to say, hey man, you're looking pretty big. In which case, hey, I'm doing a good job working out. But if you say, hey man, you're looking like you lost some weight, you're like, you like fuck with their head. It's like, oh God, I'm not eating enough. Am I doing too much cardio? Oh shit. You know, when you see like a gap in updates like this for a video game, I have no idea if this is like a good or a bad thing. I would have to see like what's up with like the what do you call it, the Fortnite community to see if this is like a good or a bad week or something like that. Because like up until this point, this thing looks like a fucking a stack of pennies on its side, like yeah, like heavily social, less social. Okay. 108 patches in the last 2 years. About a patch a week. The weekly patch. Overwatch. Oh, okay. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, updates. Does more updates equal good game? That's like, I gotta ask that. Does more updates equal better game? I have no idea. PUBG. Like, I would like to think so, but like, bro, thank God you didn't put like Apex on this shit, because like, damn, they got like their little like season update, and then the one or two, like, maybe like every 2 weeks after that, like after like the season change, there's like two patches to like fix all the shit that they broke, and then they just leave it alone. Because like, if you have Apex on here, this shit is gonna be like a below Sims 4 in terms of updates. Like, that shit is ass. But I mean, you on one hand, you could think about it in that, oh, less updates. That means the game is, on its core, it's a good game, so it doesn't require a lot of updates and blah blah blah. But then on the other side, with all these updates, it's like, what the fuck, are they always breaking something that they have to fix it again? Like, what's going on here? So I just don't know.
Week and new expansions, and there's new live service games coming out left and right, and it feels like everybody just wants your attention, and especially your wallet, all of the time. And normally this constant feed of updates really just sounds good. Like, I'm a big fan of RuneScape, and I love the fact that there's always something new to do in the game, and maybe if it was just like one game that was doing it, that would be fine. But just the
Riveting gameplay. OSRS.
fact that every single company started doing it really just became too much, because now it just feels like you have 5 different people screaming at you nonstop, and they're all asking you to play their game.
Bro, I don't know how people play this game. Like, yeah, it's like Wizards and shit like does Battle Royale, but like, the visual clutter in this shit is like mind-boggling. Like, I don't know how you haven't had a seizure already.
Game, and it's not like they're asking you for a one-time purchase, which normally would be pretty easy, but no, they're asking you for your constant ongoing attention. So live service games usually fall into 2 categories. You have the paid subscription like RuneScape and World of Warcraft, and then you also have the free-to-play model with microtransactions like Fortnite and Apex, and that's like the main popular one that everyone seems to be doing right now. And the reason it feels like everyone's shouting at you all of the time is because their entire business model fails if they don't have a concurrent player base.
Yeah.
So it's like a constant barrage of game developers throwing out updates and trying to pressure you into playing their game, and it's gotten so bad that now people just feel like they're stuck in a state of permanent burnout from video games, jumping from one game to the other,
yeah.
update to update, always chasing like a new high or new experience. And
So the whole thing with that is like, this is like something that is unlike sports. So like, what's it's like a good or a bad thing. Like, when you go outside to go play like a sport or a pickup game or something like that, your body just gets tired. And it's like, okay, I did like something outside for like 1 to 3 hours or something like that. And then, okay, I got my fill, I got my dopamine, I got my skill, I got my little workout in, I got my dopamine hit. Great. I'm just going to go take a break. Your body is just physically tired at the end of doing like physical activity. With like, when you talk about like video games and talk about like people that hop from like live service to live service, it's no wonder people get burnt out of this shit, dude. When it's like, imagine if like your body just didn't get, or like fatigue didn't accumulate as quickly. Like when you go to play sports, like, okay, just did basketball, I'm done, I'm gonna go play baseball right now because I'm bored. Okay, done with baseball. Okay, and at the end of the day, I'm done with baseball, and then, oh, I'm just gonna go. Maybe I'll chill out with like a round of golf or something like that. Okay, it's like, oh, next day I'm gonna go play some football, and then next day I'm gonna go play some t-ball, and then I'm gonna go play some ping pong, and you like, it doesn't make sense when you apply it to like real sports, because like your body just gets tired. But since most video games, like, you're not physically like moving around and shit, it's just it's a different kind of burnout when you like talk about video games.
You can actually see this happening in real time because whenever a new game comes out, they always have a massive explosion in player base. Everyone's playing it, everyone's talking about it, and that lasts for maybe like a month or two before people just like completely forget about it and go back to their regularly scheduled games, and the game that popped off really just ends up dying almost immediately. A few examples of
unless the game is actually good and has like a good core gameplay loop, then it'll be able to retain like a core player base.
that I can think off the top of my head gotta be like Splitgate, Hyperscape, Spellbreak, Realm Royale, basically any battle royale that's come out within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's an endless cycle of hype and burnout, and then hype and burnout, and it's just really not sustainable over the long term. I think it's really doing more damage than it is good for the player base. But that brings up another issue that piles on top of market saturation, and it's the fact that while the live service model has been the new gold rush in the gaming industry for like the past 5 to 10 years, and you got every developer from AAA to mom's basement trying to make it big here, the live service model actually is also completely unsustainable. Like, there's a reason why live service games like Fortnite and Apex really just don't cost anything to download and play, and it's because their success metric, their win condition here, is retaining as many players as they can inside their game, and it's not about a one-time purchase.
I would like to know the actual dollar value for each player that these developers, they have the numbers for this, and every player, like, the longer they play, the more likely they are to spend money on the game because they're like more emotionally invested in it, because they invested so much time and effort, because they like the core game loop and whatnot. I would love to know the dollar value per player. Like, let's say a player plays for like a year of Fortnite, they spend like X amount of money on it, or like if someone plays Apex for 2 years, what's the dollar amount of that type of player? I would love to know the dollar amount. That would be interesting.
Purchase that you just pick up and play and then just put down. They want you to there constantly, ongoing, nonstop. And that means that you as a game developer need to be working nonstop on constant updates to keep up with player retention. And when there really just isn't enough players to go around, there's a pressure to always be innovating on an existing product and trying to take the same concept, which is most likely going to be a battle royale, let's be honest here, and trying to sell you the idea of a battle royale 10,000 different ways so people keep having a
it's fine to have a battle royale as like the core game mechanic, or like core game mode or whatever, but like you need to have other stuff in your shooting game besides BR. Because if you examine every type of like live service game right now and see what everyone's bitching about, everyone will always say, this game is a sweat fest. This game is like it's not casual friendly. There's no fun little whatever wonky modes to take advantage of the core game physics system and just make like some whatever game modes. And not only that, in those game modes, there's nothing to grind for. To just have there's no incentivization to, even if there are like little fun whatever wonky modes, even as a casual player or anything, you like to be rewarded for your time in these games. So if you're a developer and you develop all these like little wonky modes and you still have a free to play game that's live service and then you have a rotating store, what's the point of making any sort of like cool reward system in these like little whatever fun little side game modes? All your skins and cosmetics are over in the store. That's where all the time and effort is going, into the store. There's nothing that you can just do in the game and just have fun and progressing in some little fun game mode. There's nothing.
Reason to come back to play the game. And on top of that already huge issue, you also have the fact that most live service games right now are just aiming to release as the free-to-play model, so they have to monetize with microtransactions as quickly as possible. So that means that they're releasing unfinished games in early access or in, open beta as a way of justifying shipping out a broken product ready to monetize under the mentality of, we'll just fix it later, but we just want to monetize it as early as possible, so we'll just call it early access, and we'll just let people think that they're just being involved in the development.
Oh yeah, that's even a fucking bigger meme. The early access shit.
process, when in reality, we just want to monetize right away. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you this, and leave a comment if you can think of any, but we're used to seeing broken games launch all the time, right? It's almost become the norm. It's a standard. You know, you never buy a game day of release, and if
Oh,
you
yeah.
do, you get laughed at. But when
Yeah.
was the last time
Yeah, you do. And if you think you don't, you are. Oh, Battleborn. Rest in peace, Gearbox. This game got released about the same day or the same week as Overwatch 1.
we saw a game launch where the item shop was the broken mechanic in the game?
Yeah, that's literally never happened. The store always works in every live service game. Like, a game could be DDoSed into the ground. A game could be hacked. But alas, you can still start out the game and the store completely works at all times. It's fucking ridiculous. Game developers will make patches just to fix skins over core gameplay bugs. That's hilarious to me.
was the last time that a game launched and you couldn't just buy anything outright? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of studios are perfectly comfortable shipping out unplayable trash as long as the item shop is
It's called minimum viable product that people will eat up.
fully operational day one, you know? And now let's take a moment to talk about the worst part of the live service gaming trend, because up to this point, everything's been pretty mild, but the most detrimental effect that we've had on the gaming industry, thanks to this whole gaming as a service model, they're playing with our internal reward system.
Yeah.
So game studios, in order to trick you into logging in more often so you can grind their slop of a game, they started implementing mechanics into their game to make sure that they reward engagement over actual enjoyment. So they started using like these psychological triggers like daily login rewards, limited time battle passes. Like, for example, they trick your brain into logging in and playing out of habit instead of actually being interested in playing the game. They just
True. That's a good. Oh, look at Snoop Dogg. Ooh, looking sharp. That's a good insight. Just playing off of the habit response of players rather than the player wanting to play the game. That's a good insight right there.
want to get you into the main menu, because once you make it to the main menu, you're like, well, I'm already here and I claim the login reward. Might as well play a game or two. Because
Oh yeah, I forgot about the login rewards.
Fortnite could easily make it so that the battle pass never runs out, or like if you bought it and you don't have time to complete it before the season ends, you could just complete it on your own time, no stress, right? Well, they could do that, but then you wouldn't feel pressured to play the game as often as you do. Because if they let you enjoy the game at your own pace, that means that Epic understands that you have time to go play other games, and Epic doesn't want you to play other games. Epic wants you to play Fortnite.
Yeah.
So
There has never been a moment in gaming history where adding a battle pass in or adding a store with like a rotating stock makes the game better. That's literally never happened in any game.
put a time limit on everything to make you feel like you don't want to miss out. You don't want to like waste your money because you already paid for the battle pass, might as well complete it. And the way the gaming industry has shifted from you gaming the game and turned it into the game gaming you has honestly just messed up people's mental health beyond belief, to the point where you're starting to see people just give up on live service games altogether, and they start picking up more story-driven single-player experiences, which, you know, awesome. And all of that is a result of the gaming industry just literally pushing people away with their endless gameplay loop and that never seems to end. And, you know, that's another big part of this whole thing, because these games don't really have an end. Like, do you remember beating your first video game? That weird sense of bittersweet accomplishment as the credits are rolling by, and, you know, you realize that the story is over, but you feel that sense of gratification, that sense of satisfaction that you beat the game. Like, I remember very clearly the first time I ever beat Spyro the Dragon, and that's a masterpiece of a video game, by the way. And that just does not exist in 90% of all the live service games that are out there.
Well, yeah, because that's not the experience that they're peddling. If you want to get that experience, then there are other games that can offer that to you. I would say if you're looking for that type of experience, you're not going to get it from live service. Live service offers something completely different. And I don't think it's like a good idea to try to have a one game, like a one-stop shop for the end-all be-all of all of your video game dopaminergic responses, like the live service and the completionist thing. Like, I think it's a little ridiculous to try to ask that from like one game.
because they're designed to never have an end. They're never designed to give you that ginormous payoff at the very
Yeah.
end. They're designed to give you little pieces of satisfactions so that way you're hooked on them, but you're never satisfied with them. So after the honeymoon phase of the game being the shiny new thing is over, you kind of realize that you don't really continue playing the game because you enjoy it or you want to get somewhere, but because the game trained you into developing a habit of playing it even if you don't really enjoy it. Like, I'm just going to give you a quick example here. How many times have you heard the same people who play live service games only trash talk their game? Like,
oh, all the time. It goes one in. It's like it's two sides of the same coin. It's like white on rice. It's like a glass, or what is it? It's like a glass of milk and a paper plate in a snowstorm. It's the same thing. That happens all the time.
Apex Legends players hate Apex.
Yes.
Overwatch players hate Overwatch.
Yes.
Valorant players hate Valorant.
Yep.
And every time a new update comes out,
Suddenly, the devs just figure out a new way to break the game, and then it's like, oh fuck, we got to deal with this. Here we go. Now we got to wait another week to fix all these bugs for like the previous patch, and then we got to wait for that patch to come out, and hopefully there's no bugs in that patch, but most likely they are. And they got to wait until next week to fix the bugs from the last patch. They got to wait another week to fix the bugs. And it's like ridiculous.
They're just like smitten by the game. Like, this is the greatest game that's ever come out. This is the best Fortnite season yet. And then just 2 weeks later, they go back to hating the game all over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they're constantly in the cycle. They're stuck in that loop.
Yep.
Now, in contrast to that, how many people have you heard trash talking Hollow Knight or any other
Not really a lot.
single player experience? I don't know. Not that many.
Well, I can think of at least one guy. One guy gave like a bad review to Elden Ring one time, and he ended up in jail.
To be honest, people really stopped enjoying live service games a long time ago, and the reason a lot of them still play them is because they got tricked into thinking that they still enjoy the games. And that has led to the biggest case of video game burnout we've ever seen in gaming. And in my opinion, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Like, there's already been a trend of live service games that pop off in record numbers that just die in less than 2 years. And a lot of them are just gone forever. They're shut down, there's no way to play them, and all that time and effort that developers put into making their vision a reality is just, it's gone down the drain. And people are already starting to get tired of the battle pass gimmick, and we've actually started seeing a sudden spike in more indie and single player games popping up left and right, which is great, because we're starting to see a resurgence in games that focus more on story and actual complete experiences instead of just trying to sell you a surface level shallow game with an endless gameplay loop. But unfortunately,
from the same guy that made not only Up, but like the dude in the pot at the Hammer game, it just made like a climbing game.
the damage has already been done. There's people who are legitimately addicted to hot dropping in Apex Legends every single game to the point that they don't even care about winning anymore. They just want to hot drop and die, hot drop, die, maybe get like 5 kills, and once they have those 5 kills, they have that surge of dopamine just for them to die immediately and, start the cycle all over again.
Yeah.
But people really are just severely burnt out, and half of them don't even really know it. But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about with you guys. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
My friend.
My friends.
Live service gaming has been the
Okay. Yeah, I liked that video. It was nice. It just outlines like why live service games are just it's very formulaic in how gameplay is delivered. Like, I don't know. It just seems like I need more effort besides like your core mode, like your ranked mode, your casual mode, maybe like a practice mode. I need like some other stuff, dude. I just need more effort out of like all the live services. I mean, and to ask an entire development company to like give me more without giving them anything, I mean, I don't think that, and like that's not gonna happen anytime soon. So, I mean, it's whatever. But yeah, I like this video. Good insight. But yeah, hope to see more. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.